Alright, so this is the stash that I believe I can work through until next Thursday, which is when I leave. Okay, are you recording? Because this is the last time I'm doing this. I'm very clumsy today. I just talked to the camera for like 2 minutes and then realized I only took a photo. Hi everybody! As some of you know, the ones who've followed my channel for a while, you know that usually just before I go away, I get into a sewing frenzy and I start multiple projects at once that I aim to get ready by the time I enter a plane. And I'm going away next weekend, so we're in this situation right now. I'm very excited about this because today I aim to sew multiple things, or at least start multiple things, and that is something that I haven't done in a while because I changed my approach on like how I go about my sewing projects at the beginning of this year. If you follow this channel for a while, you know that I used to be a compulsive sewer. I would make at least one dress a week, which means I would make about like minimum 45 projects, sewing projects a year, if not more. Unless I just took intentional breaks, it would be a minimum of one piece a week, which is not very sustainable. So at the beginning of this year, I decided to be a little bit more intentional about the things that I make. You also know that I recently started making my own sewing patterns, so that takes a much longer time than just like making a thing one-off for yourself. You know that I'm currently working on my neck halter dress, which is still in the works, and I will update you on that very soon. So today we're going back to my roots and being compulsive, but then also de-stashing a little bit because I have loads of fabrics that I need to get through. Not all of them are suitable for the sewing patterns that I create. So today my aim for this video is threefold. A, get through my sewing stash. B, create a couple cute outfits that I can wear for my weekend away next week. And C, just, you know, flexing those creative muscles a little bit and trying to be fast about what I do. So today is not really a tutorial, it's a bit of a sewing adventure sewing blog. So you're gonna watch me make a couple things and the journey of completing them. Okay, so as you've seen, I have loads of fabrics right here that I'm trying to get through. So let me talk you through the first thing that we're gonna make. Okay, so fabric number one is this beautiful, I don't actually know exactly what it is. It's some sort of crinkle, I think, because it has this texture to it. I would reckon it's polyester, and I think I remember the guy in the shop telling me it's a designer deadstock. If you ask me and I look at this, it kind of looks like this brand, Itro, I think it's called. But I have 4 meters of this. So my plan for this initially, and I think it still is to actually make a nice little jumpsuit for hopefully the summer holiday that I'm planning to go on. But I also think about making this into a very cute blouse top situation. So the idea is that I'm gonna have a very simple crew neck, and we're going to have sleeves that maybe don't even have a shoulder seam, basically. And then I want them to be like poofy down here, probably closed with some sort of elastic. So these kinds of sleeves. And then to make it really interesting, it's gonna be waist length, I guess. I do want to have these little slits here. And what I also want to do is to create this like ruching up here with strings, like this string ruching, basically. So that is a very, very rough sketch, and I don't actually plan on giving this any more detail than it is right now, so you will have to see what it looks like once I'm done. So let's get to the pattern drafting. Okay, so I just folded this selvage to selvage, and now I'm gonna fold it again like this. And this funny looking thing here, after going a complicated route, I then came up with this concoction, which I felt would probably look just as good and be 2 times as fast. Okay, now we just need to open this and use one side as our back, because otherwise we won't get in here. Can I get in here? Okay, this is what it looks like right now. And then just do this. Okay. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, so we have a piece. Now let's get to shaping the piece. Okay, now we have something that looks a little bit like a top. It's extremely oversized, which is what I wanted. So we have a sleeve here and we have a sleeve on the other side. And what I'm thinking of doing right away actually is to finish all of the like edges and hems and necklines. So I'm currently contemplating of how to do this. Ideally, I think what I would do is to use a rolling hem, but this is multicolored, so I don't actually know which thread I would go for. I currently use a combination of a light pink bobbin thread and a dark green top thread. And I think the top thread is a little bit less visible because the light pink obviously pops out quite a bit more. So I think the best thing to do is to use the dark green for the bobbin thread as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a rolling hem all along the center back, the neckline, and the length of the blouse. I'm just gonna do the center back and the neckline for now. Okay, so we have this piece here still, but I have finished the neckline. I gave the center back a rolling hem. I will later close the center back until like a little bit above my bra line because that just is more practical, and I will give it a hook and eye closure on the neck up here. I will now give the sleeves an elastic band so they're like cinched together, and then I'm going to work on the ruching here in the front, and hopefully that gives this like blob of a fabric a bit of shape. Okay, so I made this tiny little tube, and now let's see if we can turn it around by grabbing a needle and a bit of a stronger thread. I'm going to sew a couple times through the seam allowance of this tiny tube, and then I'm gonna go with the eyelet first into it. I'm gonna try to fiddle this through all the way to the other end, and ideally this should then turn into itself. Yay, we have a spaghetti strap. And now, one more time. Okay, so the last step before completing this is to add the little pockets for our drawstrings. So I have two little squares here that are roughly the same size, and now it's about placing them down onto the front and trying to make sure that it's somewhat even. From what I can tell, this is my center front, so I'm gonna try to orient myself on this. So basically what you do is you just place the two parallel to each other, parallel to the center front. Now the question is, do you want to put it all the way down and then draw up this bit, or do you want to place it a little bit further up and draw the mid bit and have the top and the bottom unruched? So I don't know, but I think I'm gonna place it here. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but this is supposed to be fun and this is supposed to be experimental, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't, and that's okay too. Okay, so I sew up the sides on each side, and then I sew up the middle. Okay, piece number one is done. This is the most experimental thing I've made in a while. I don't think you've seen me make something like this, like ever. The sleeves are obviously extremely oversized and a little bit long, but I feel like it's part of the vibe, maybe. The ruching worked well. After the fact, I guess I would have made the top even a little bit longer to have the ruching be more of a feature here. Could be like longer, and then the top should be a bit longer for that. But overall, it's a thing. It's a blouse, I guess. Is it a tunic? I guess it's a tunic. I don't know. It's yeah. Let me know what it is. I'm not entirely sure yet. Will this make it into the suitcase for next weekend for the city trip? I don't know. Feels more like something I would wear to the beach in Greece. But I made it, so I can move on to the next thing. Good morning! As with everything, it's a matter of styling. I did my hair this morning. I'm wearing green khakis and it looks cute. It's not trendy or anything like that, but it looks cute and the fabric is so nice. So I'm not mad at it, and it's comfortable. very comfortable. Okay, let's move on to the next project. I just finished creating the pattern pieces for a sundress that I want to make. It really looks as if the weather is going to be really nice. I also have multiple things coming up in the next couple months where I could need a good sundress, and it's time for me to use the ditzy lemon print that I got at the Liberty sample sale. Yes, this is actually a print that they like to use for pocket squares and for men's shirts, but I thought it was so adorable, and it's kind of vintage and calm. It's not like super loud, it's very classy. So I can imagine this becoming a really nice sundress that is sort of like 50s, 60s. Audrey Hepburn would wear it, and it's also a super beginner friendly quick make. And I'm pretty convinced that I can make this today, like straight up. So it's basically just the two pieces that I just showed you, plus a circle skirt. I might have to line it because it's quite delicate, thin cotton, but that shouldn't really add much time onto the construction process. So let us make a nice sundress. All right, let's see how quickly we can put this together. I cut all of my pieces, so we have the back plus the back facing. So I'm not gonna line this, I'm just gonna face it this time around to make it easier for myself. And then here we have the facing for the front. We have the strips of fabric for the tie-up, straps for the dress. I also cut some pockets because pockets are fun. And I actually did a full circle skirt rather than a quarter circle skirt. So there's gonna be a lot of volume in the skirt. So let's see how quickly we can put this together. We have the curved darts that I discovered last year, and now I'm gonna press them. So now that the darts are sewn in and pressed, I can join front and back, and I'm simply placing the front right side looking up, and then I place the back sides right sides looking down, so right sides are facing. Once the side seams are sewn together, it's the moment for fitting it, and it looks so good. I am obsessed with these curved darts. They are such a hack. I'm afraid I will have to include this in a pattern of mine really soon, because I cannot withhold this from you any longer. Look at this fit. This is so cute. All right, so I am happy with this. Means I can actually search the side seams, put on the facing, and then I can move on to the skirt. Okay, so far so good. The bodice is assembled, and I also prepared the facing, so it's ready to be put on. But before I can put the facing on, I need to create my little strappy straps. So I have these tiny thin strips of fabric that I'm now each gonna fold in half like this. And so once I've sewn it together, I'm gonna go through the seam allowance a couple of times with my thread and needle, and then I go into the loop, into the strap with the eye of the needle first. Yay! 4 more times of this. Okay, straps are ready. Facing is ready. Means we can put it all together. Looking cute, looking nice. Now let's do the skirt. Okay, so the skirt is a full circle skirt this time. I wanted to test this and see if it looks a little bit more 60s, if it's a bit fuller. So that means I basically have this here, which is the back, and I've sewn together the center back already. And then I have another piece, which is the exact same for the front, like that. And now I will have to sew together the sides. So I have 4 of the same size pieces here, and I also think what I will do is I give the top of the pocket a bit of a different shape, because that's gonna make it easier for it to be and exist relaxed in my skirt afterwards. Because this way it will be easier for the pocket to follow the waist later, which it needs to do because this is where I'm gonna feed into. So what you're doing is you grab the individual pocket pieces, you place them right sides touching onto the corresponding skirt sides. Alright, so the skirt is already sewn together on one side with the pocket in, and on the other side I just pinned it together, and now I'm going to sew all the way around the pocket and down the side to finish up this side as well. Okay, so we have a skirt, and you can already see what I've done here on this side. The pocket that is currently looking out like a little ear is gonna go towards the front like this. And I'm just gonna pin it in place so that it doesn't flop around. And now we have a completed skirt that has an opening in the back like any other skirt would if you have a zipper in the back. And there's loads of volume and sway, which I hope is gonna look nice. And now I can join this with the top to finish the sundress, basically. Except for the zipper, that still needs to go in. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna work on in this video is the gingham knit, this bad boy. I don't have a lot of this. This is about this much and change, so really just for a mini dress. So my attempt for this one is to make a cute little almost neck halter where you have like a very square neckline, a little dart here in the side, and then a mini skirt. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna do a elasticated back so I don't have to work with a zip or anything. So this should be hopefully a very, very quick project. Okay, so I have this pattern piece here now, which sort of hopefully looks like this. Goes here to the side, there's a little dart here, so there's no gaping action going on here. And then we have the scallops at the end, and really I'm going to use this for the front and for the back. As in, like, for the back, I'm just going to fold this down, and I'm going to extend this a little bit to make this really one, like, square, basically. This width then, in the end, is going to be gathered up with an elastic. And then I just need 2 straps. So let's hope that I have enough fabric to cut this. So my idea with the scalloped hem is probably going down the drain because of the amount of fabric I have. I would have had to cut some facing to actually achieve a clean look for the scallops. Now, the idea is I could cut the facing from different kind of fabric, but the question is what kind of fabric is compatible with the knit that is stretchy. So I will probably leave that until the very end. The dress is still gonna look very cute even with a straight hem. I would have loved the scallops though. Anyway, let me sew this together. I hope this is gonna be very fast. Okay, so now that I've prepared the straps and the facing for the back, I can continue with assembling my pieces. I think the first thing I will do is to sew in the darts in my front facing piece and in my actual shell piece. I made a very similar dress to this last year, also on a whim, with a different type of fabric. It was more of like a airy thin cotton, and it looked really cute, but I made a couple of mistakes in the process of making it, so I really kind of like was itching to remake it. So this is the moment. Okay, so the front is done, hooray, and this is the back, which is really just this huge square. And I'm now going to place front and back on top of each other and sew the side seams. Okay, so the front looks really good, the dart works, but the back is way too big, so I'm going to take that in. Okay, all of the elements are prepared. The dress is sewn together, and now I can attach the facing. For that, I need to grab my straps and decide on where I want to place them. So I'm gonna go set it in a little bit because I already know that I want to make the top a little bit more narrow. So I'm placing it about here. So once the straps are pinned on, I can place the facing and then start to pin that together. Okay, now the facing is attached. I tried to follow the gingham print a little bit, so hopefully when I turn this around, it will look clean and straight on the outside, which it does. Because if this was a little bit off kilt, you would be very much able to see it, and we don't want that, do we? Okay, now that the front is pressed, I'm just placing the facing onto the back right side stitching, and this is what's going to help me create the elasticated back. attached the facing in the back and understitched it. Now I'm also quickly gonna unstitch the neckline. Woohoo! Super clean. Much cleaner than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so this is what we have now. And you might be thinking, but how are you going to attach the straps in the back? I'm going to do that at the very last step. Now I'm going to create a tunnel here that I can insert the elastic in. So I'm simply top stitching that from the outside. Okay, now we have the tunnel. And let me fetch an elastic, feed it in. And then I can fit the straps and then we're done. Alright guys, that's it. I've sewn through my sewing stash. Not all of it, of course, but I think 3 makes for 3 days is quite a good number. And these are things that have been lying around for a while and were waiting for me to finally give them a chance. And I'm glad I did, because my absolute favorite is the 60s circle skirt dress. How cute did this turn out? Like, this is really the biggest surprise for me, because actually, full disclosure, I regretted getting this fabric after the fact. I started to see a lot of like men's ties with this fabric after I got it, and I was a little bit afraid that it wasn't the right fabric for the things that I usually make, which are dresses. But this is so light and airy, and I think the tiny little lemons look so summery but not too much, and I can see myself wearing this in my flat just on a daily basis as well, because it's not precious, you know what I mean, because it's cotton and it's practical because it has the pockets and the bodice fits so well. I'm so pleased with this. Coming in second is definitely this dress. It is so comfortable and it is already warm right now. It's only 20 degrees, but if you live in the UK or if you've ever visited for an extended period of time, you know that it's either cold and rainy or it's 20 degrees and humid. That means it feels hot. So this is something that I can see myself wear quite a lot this summer as well. And then coming in third is the blouse that I made, but not because I don't like it. I just wish I would have done a few things differently. I think the neck is a little bit too wide, as I already alluded to. And then also I think that it would have been cute if I put the pockets for the ruching on the outside of the blouse so that the ribbons can be seen. That's a learning. For a quick make, I think it turned out all right. Let me know which one is your favorite. I will have to leave you hanging as to which of those things I'm gonna actually bring to my weekend away. If you're interested, come follow me on Instagram. I usually post there, and I will be sure to post some snaps of my weekend when I get a chance. All right, that's it for today, and I see you next week.